Welcome to the Sawty Chip Show presented by the NAI Network. Damian Salty G, Chip Kayfabe. Find the show at saltychips.simplecast.fm, as well as on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, all the good streaming services. Chip, we usually start the show with some fun stuff, but I want to hit people in the mouth who don't know what the Salty Chips are about. So we're going to lead off with the Dallas Mavericks. Not because their team is impressive, because it's not. They have like 10 wins on the season, supposedly. What's really annoying is the fact that in corporate America, as well as in professional sports, you have this culture of almost college etiquette, like this guerrilla behavior, this Neanderthalic nonsense that we deal with and we hear about constantly, where people don't really talk about it much. But according to an SI article released yesterday, actually, and backed up on multiple sources, the Dallas Mavericks have, and it pains me to say this, their front office has run amok in terms of professional behavior. Now, anyone who knows me knows I run a not-for-profit here in New York as my day job. But the problem here is when you hear a story like this, and I'm going to get into details, just give me a second here, folks, because it's taking a lot for me to keep my calm talking about this kind of subject. When you're running a not-for-profit, you're running a business, rule number one, respect your employees. That's rule number one, for me at least. So it pains me as I look at this SI article and everything that goes with it, where their CEO of I believe over 20 years, his name is Terdima Ussery, and he came from Nike. Then he worked for the Mavericks for about 20 years as the CEO of the business division, not so much the basketball decisions, but promotions, advertising, things like that. A series of inappropriate acts of sexual harassment and sexual assault. It's been dubbed a locker room culture where there's been public fondling, domestic assault by a Mavs.com website reporter, literally watching pornography at work in front of the female coworkers.
What a surprise.
What a surprise. And also, Mr. Ussery, and I use the term Mr. very lightly because what I'm about to say is a little risque. So parental suggestion is advised if anyone's under the age of 18. But
stop listening.
The man had the audacity and the gall to ask a former employee if she's going to get gangbanged over the weekend.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, you heard that right. He asked an employee, what are you going to do this weekend? I bet you're going to get gangbanged, aren't you?
I didn't know that part. I saw the headlines. I read the articles. I didn't read that part.
I'm reading it right now on SI.com. Wow. So if anyone wants to take a quick gander at that. Ussery apparently over the course of his 20 years in the Mavericks organization has done this constantly, where he has gone to make female employees under him uncomfortable with everything he did. He nourished a culture of misogyny and just inappropriate behavior where the proverbial inmates are running the asylum, so to speak, as they say.
Yep.
Personally, me, Chip, as you well know, I don't abide by this kind of garbage. Now, when I was younger, I've made mistakes in my dealings with the opposite sex, and I've dealt with those, and I'm honest about it. You know, I've made mistakes and I've apologized, and I've grown as a person in terms of my professional demeanor. In college, I had a few run-ins myself in trying to be a dorm operator, where things I was not aware of that were inappropriate were deemed inappropriate. So I did not know until I was taught or until I learned. Okay, but I was given that chance to learn. What the hell? You got 20 years, Chip. 20 years on the job. People have reported you to HR, okay? And HR also was complicit in all this because they didn't even get involved. They told women to toughen up and threatened, the head of HR threatened women who came forward to not come forward or else they would lose their jobs, Chip.
Yep. But you started off this segment saying corporate America, everybody. Well, that's how I'm going to jump in. Corporate America, everybody. That's what money and that's what power does to people. You can cover it up because you got money. You can do what you want because you got money. You have nothing to lose. There's nobody. You mentioned the head of HR. being
Mhm.
able to say, hey, don't report this, you're going to lose your job. That's what comes with power, because there's nobody above you. So you can do whatever you want. Same with the CEO of the company or the Mavericks business operations. He can do whatever he wants because really the only person above him is Mark Cuban, and he's probably not paying too much attention. So
And here's
it's
the
just,
thing.
yeah,
Go ahead. Sorry.
it's just scary to think about because since, let's say, I'm just going to use a rough timeline here. Since
Mhm.
the Bill Cosby scandal, it's kind of been
Yes.
a running joke, like, all right, who's going to get accused this week? But now it's becoming a reality of who's going to get accused this week. It's a real, honest, truly scary reality that every time you turn your head and there's somebody else out there, and you look at all the people it is, and like I mentioned when I hopped in, power and money.
And that's the sad thing, is because in corporate America, and full disclosure for anyone listening, my first job was in corporate America after graduation, after college. I worked in a marketing firm. I worked for a reputable baseball affiliated company, and I handled their advertising and their promotion and their, and I was used to this. I and that's the problem with me being a man in this situation, is because my superiors thought it was okay to exhibit this kind of behavior.
Right. But also think about the timeline though. Even
Mhm.
as little as 5, 7, 10 years ago, this behavior was not deemed, but not deemed isn't the right word, but I'm going to use it in this instant, deemed acceptable. It wasn't thought about that this was a serious offense, and it is. Like, you can't dismiss it. Sexual misconduct, sexual harassment, whatever it is it's serious, and it's just something that people didn't bat an eye to until now. And it's just, I'm thrown off because I hate the subject. I hate that it has to be talked about, but it's so often that it's something that we can't avoid anymore.
And we can't. And that's the sad thing, because you would hope by the time we've gotten to this point as humans, Chip,
Yep.
that we have evolved at least a little bit
Right.
to
And we haven't
know,
moved.
no, the needle has not moved. We're still, as a people and as men in corporate America, and even and I've seen it, dude, I've seen it in human service also, where this gorilla unga caveman behavior is okay.
Right.
And I was talking to someone before we came on air, before I was talking to you. They wanted me to really talk about it before I got on air, and I said, no, I'm going to save it for the network. I'm going to save it for the air, because I can't. I like right now.
Like I said, it's throwing me off. It's throwing you off. It's throwing me off. This isn't a fun subject to talk about. This isn't something that we came in. It's like, all right, we want to talk about this. This is going to be a great subject. It's not something
No,
fun to
no,
talk about.
it is a sensitive subject, and again, my apologies to anyone who is just tuning in to the Sawty Chip show presented by the NAI Network. But let me continue to reading this to you. The women in the report also stated that their safe haven away from this nonsense was the Mavericks locker room. The players, which you would think, according to many a rumor, that the
Yep.
players in professional sports are the ones who would act like this in the locker room, because our president made a comment a while ago about locker room talk, right? So
Yep.
when you mention locker room talk, you would think the Mavericks locker room would not be a safe haven for these women to go to. But alas, all the women that they talked with stated that the Mavericks locker room, the players themselves, were respectful, were professional, and never made them feel unsafe.
And that's kind of calming in itself because like you just said, it's usually, unfortunately, the players that are
Mhm.
in conducting this behavior, and it's not, which is great to hear. That's a huge, and I'm sure for the Mavericks organization, that's a huge, weight off their shoulders, if you will.
But here's another thing. People have been asking Mark Cuban all day about his feelings on the subject, and he's kind of been coy. He claims he had no prior knowledge of all this going around. Now, Mark Cuban is a noted micromanager, overseer. I mean, he's one of my favorite owners in sports. But if you are a micromanager type, if you are a type A personality, and you're saying you don't get involved with the business side of the promotion of the basketball team, you're all invested in the player development and the analytics and all that good stuff. Fine. How the hell did you not even know that something like this was going on?
Right. And like I worked for a micromanager. You all saw my tweets last year.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go home. I had a micromanager that was constantly over my shoulder. I couldn't do anything for myself. And so he knew everything that was going on. So if Mark Cuban is this supposed micromanager, how doesn't he know this is going on? And and I assume he does. And that just is a bad look for him because you have to make an assumption. And the assumption is he knew.
Right.
It's just like, and again, this somehow comes back to wrestling somehow. It's like Vince McMahon. He's,
True.
I think it's very well known. And if you didn't know, now I'm just going to say it. He's almost, I'm 99% sure he covered up Jimmy Snuka's murder. I'm almost 99% sure. I'm pretty sure he went up with a briefcase cash. Was like, let's just forget about it. Let's not talk about this again. And until 2015 when the trial was, what I don't know what the correct legal term is. I'm not going to pretend I do. But when the trial was brought back up, but he had to have known, and now he's just covering his tracks.
And this is the funny thing about men in business and men in power, and we've seen it with the Harvey Weinsteins of the world, Kevin Spacey's, as you said, Bill Cosby, the entire Me Too movement, which I honestly think is a catalyst for these women coming forward and telling Sports Illustrated, which before today, like we talked off air, I did not realize Sports Illustrated was still a thing in terms of popularity. So the fact that they were willing to come forward and share this information, one, shows their bravery. So kudos to the women who were finally able to share their
break
story,
the stigma,
and break that stigma and not stay quiet. But a big Damian finger wave and a big Damian head shake of doom to everyone else who tried to cover this crap up. Yep. I'm sorry. Be good to your employees. Every employee I have, I treat them as best as I possibly can within the professional work environment. Now, there's people I may not like to work with in my history, but I've always been professional about how I interact with those. I know there's certain things not to say at work, and I'm 38 years old. This guy is older than me, and he, for 20 years, would feel up on girls' legs under the table during staff meetings. Women were warned when they were hired to stay away from Taderma Ussery as if he was some sort of predator, which he is, because let's be honest, that's a pig right there, Chip.
Yep.
That is the physical embodiment of a male, chauvinistic, misogynistic pig. And I'm sorry, Mark Cuban, you are my favorite owner in professional sports. Pun unintended, you are a Maverick, but if you claim that you did not know anything about this, I find that incredibly hard to believe. But I'll give you the benefit of the doubt because
I want to believe it.
Because I want to believe it. But according to reports, when he talked to his employees yesterday, apparently he broke down crying, saying that this will never happen again. I am sorry that you all went through this. I did not know. So maybe there is a sliver, an iota of hope that he did not know what was going on.
It's hard. You don't know. I mean, breaking down crying, that sounds, in theory, that sounds like, okay, maybe he didn't know. But again, this time in 2018, you don't know. Mm-hmm. You just don't. And I don't know.
Let me read off some of the incidents in this Sports Illustrated article beside what I mentioned before. The incidents range from inappropriate remarks to requests for sex to touching women's calves and thighs during meetings. One of the women says she made people aware countless times. I leaned in so much I fell over, apparently like saying like, look, I told you so much. I don't know what else to tell you, that he would come on to them all the time. She felt trapped. They felt frozen, scared. This was the CEO of the organization, and he wasn't going to get fired. And there was a cover-up. There were people in place to let him get away with this. And that is one of the most frustrating things about it, is that whole chain of command, because you don't want to rock the boat, because you don't want to lose your job, or because that's your boy. It's ridiculous.
And I think, honestly, there are enough good people out there that I think it was more of a fear of losing their job than anything.
I want to believe that, Chip. I want to, but at the same token, if it's going on for this long, There's got to be some. Look, I've been at a place where in one of my exit interviews, people have said, "Why are you leaving?" And I told them it was because of a former supervisor.
Sure. And I said that in my exit interview from my last job. It was,
And
even
that
though I
person's
got
still there.
even though I got laid off, we still did an exit interview. Stupid, whatever. But I told him, I was not interested in coming back, even if you, because it's called furloughed. When I got furloughed, I was on furlough for 2 months, and they didn't have any work for me in 2 months. It would be a reduction in force, which is a layoff. So when they officially laid me off, they were like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Were you planning on coming back if we offered you the job?" And I said, "Absolutely not. No, I was just sitting and collecting unemployment because I couldn't work for him anymore. I was mentally exhausted. I just came home from work and I shut down. And that's just somebody that's a micromanager. Never mind somebody that's sexually abusing, sexual harassment. Never mind
Sexual
that.
assault. Let's be honest.
Sexual
It's
assault.
sexual
Yeah,
assault.
it is. It is. And I didn't even have to deal with that. So to think about the people that do have to deal with that and they continue to go to work every day, I couldn't imagine.
And he's not the only one. They had other people beside him who engaged in cantankerous behavior that was covered up. Let me see.
Good word.
His name is Earl K. Sneed. It's a Mavs.com reporter, probably one of the top guys for the Mavericks in terms of their .com reporting. Okay,
Yeah.
Arrested for beating multiple women whom he dated, who were his co-workers, mind you, and all he got was suspended, and he had to sign a affidavit saying that he would not fraternize one-on-one with women on the job ever again. But he still kept his job.
If we asked 10 people that are watching this right now, I bet you 8 or 10 of them would say there's no way Mark Cuban was not at least briefed on this.
Well, no, he was briefed on, according to reports, he was briefed on the Sneed thing. He knew about that. He was the one that said, okay, you have to sign this affidavit if you want to keep your job. He can't travel to Canada because he got convicted. So he can no longer travel to Canada. So then if you can't cover the Mavs in another country, why do you have your job?
There's power and money.
I know it's the loyalty thing. And it's like, that's your boy, like I said before, but where's the line, Chip? Where's the line?
With power and money, there is no line.
Sickening.
But am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. But
when power and money comes into play, there truly is no line. You can cross that line as much as you want, because you know what? Let's be real here. If you fire a millionaire, are you really accomplishing anything?
Maybe internally,
except for PR. What are you doing anything to that abuser? Are you accomplishing anything other than, oh, you just don't get to come to work anymore? With power or money, you're not really doing anything to them, because guess what? They're gonna get to go home and sit on their ass with their millions of dollars. The only thing that solves this and makes it worth it is conviction.
Right.
And even that isn't fully satisfying. Because you still had to live through it. Yeah, sure. They caught the bad guy. Yay, but you still had to live through that, and you'll never forget it.
Yeah, and some of these women in this report stopped working in sports in general because of this behavior. Now, I know plenty of people have been bullied out of professions, and I don't stand for it at all. I don't care, regardless of how nice a person seems, regardless of how genuine a person may come across, or, oh, they've always been a good person. This is so unlike them. I'm always willing to give the benefit of the doubt, Chip. You know me about that. You know that about me. But 20 plus years of this behavior, of this Animal House frat party nonsense, and it goes unchecked. What the hell?
It just can't happen. But the sad reality is it's going to continue, and we just got to face it. And I'm not saying that's the right answer. That's absolutely not the right answer here. But it's a sad reality that's going to continue to happen. Talking about it, making moves, if pardon the wrestling pun, but making moves, it only does so much. There's only so much we can do. Yeah, make your voices heard. That's awesome. I'm all for it, but there's only so much that's going to do.
So what can be done? Let me put that on you right now. What can be done in these situations?
Scary answer. I don't know.
Even scarier answer, sometimes nothing.
And that's what I was afraid to say. The better answer of the two is I don't know. But the real answer here is probably nothing.
Like you said, if you get rid of the millionaire or the billionaire, what really happens?
Nothing. They sit on their wealth.
Yeah. Look what happened with Donald Sterling. Remember when Donald Sterling, the former owner of the Clippers, was pretty much banished from the NBA because of his racist nonsense?
Yep.
He's still got his money.
Yep. He didn't lose anything. He's just sitting at home. He can't work anymore. That's about it. But does he need to?
Oh, okay. Look, I'm gonna read off. Ussery had a response statement. Quote, during my nearly 20-year tenure with the Mavericks, I am not aware of any sexual harassment complaints about me or any findings by the organization that I engaged in inappropriate conduct. In fact, on multiple occasions, I and other senior executives at the organization raised concerns, both in person and in emails, about other Mavericks employees who had engaged in highly inappropriate and in some cases threatening sexual conduct. The organization refused to address these concerns, and I believe these misleading claims about me are part of an attempt to shift the blame for the failure to remove employees who created an uncomfortable and hostile work environment within the Mavericks organization. End quote. Wow. So let me see if I get this right.
What?
Yeah. In the midst of this happening to him, he says, to paraphrase here, I didn't know what was going on. That's not about me. Why am I being made the fall guy here? There were other people that were doing it, but I'm the one being blamed.
What? So let's break down that quote real quick.
Yeah.
It wasn't me.
Mm-hmm.
So you knew. So basically, either way, you were to blame here because you saw something and you didn't say something. So there's one thing.
Or you claim you said something, you raised concerns.
Oh, but that conviction really.
But nothing happened.
Right. It wasn't me, but I saw something. So who was it then? If you don't want to be the fall guy, give it up.
Right.
Again, this part of the quote.
Yeah, this part of the quote that bugs me out is the organization refused to address these concerns. No. And I believe these misleading claims about me are part of an attempt to shift the blame for the failure to remove employees.
I don't think I don't think a businessman like Mark Cuban would not at least release a PR statement saying we're aware of these allegations, we're looking into it. Whether anything comes of it is a different story, but at least there's a statement out there saying we're looking into it.
Well, they did that. He's hired an independent. The Mavericks have hired an independent law firm to come in and do their own, I guess, fact finding.
That's today.
Today, yes, today.
That's today. But I'm saying when I can't say his last name correctly, so I'm not even going to attempt. But the guy that you just read the quote off from, if he supposedly reported it to the appropriate people within the business, why is there nothing about it anywhere? Like I said, all of this, excuse my language, all of this is fucked up. Everything about this is fucked up.
Damian does not condone the use of cursing on the Sawty Chip show.
I don't give a fuck.
I'm just saying.
But don't we end the show with "Don't be a dick"?
Yes, that's how we end every show. Don't be a dick. And yet, the Mavericks are the dicks.
Yep.
Anyone involved in this is a dick. Anyone not taking responsibility for this is a dick.
Well, you know where we're going from here. Now we're going to hear from everybody. We knew. We told somebody, but nothing ever happened. That's
the pile-ons. Yes, the people who pile on. Yes.
Within a month, we'll have about 5 or 6 people that by name are out there saying, "Hey, I knew, I told somebody, but nothing happened," or another abuser.
And that breaks my heart, man. That saddens me.
You know what breaks my heart? Having to talk about this.
I mean,
this is even a subject that we're still talking about in 2018.
But here's the thing: the fact that we as people still have not evolved, like I said before, that's the part that irks me so much. Is that okay? Do you remember the Johnny Cash song "God's Gonna Hunt You Down"? I believe that's the name of the song.
Yes, I do.
Okay,
I don't know if that's the correct name, but yeah,
I know but in the song it states what's been done in the dark will be brought to the light, right?
Mhm.
That's what's happening. All
Yeah.
this shadow operative nonsense, all this boys club, all of this underbelly stuff is going to be coming out a lot more. It started with Cosby, it snowballs. Now it's in NBA. It was already in the NFL with Jerry Richardson, the owner of the Carolina Panthers. It's been in professional wrestling with He Who Shall Not Be Named, which you know who that is by now, everybody who listens to Sawty Chips. My God, seriously,
Let's
knock it off.
be better.
That's the best way I can put that.
That's where it has to end. Be better. Because I don't want to have to talk about this again. But the sad reality, like I said earlier, is we will.
Right. It's going to come up. It's inevitably going to happen again. So please feel free to share your feelings on this topic. Share it with the show at Damian. So dare to see, I'm all flustered because I'm so mad. At Dare to be Damian, at Chip Kayfabe. Chip, what's our show tag now?
So are you what?
On Twitter. What is our Twitter tag?
Oh, at Sawty Chip Show.
Thank you. Because I know it was Glasscast NEI. I know we changed it.
Rest in peace.
Yes. It didn't die. Let's not.
I know.
Yeah. Sorry, folks. I just wanted to get this out because it was really on the tip of my tongue all day. I wanted to voice my opinion, and it needed to be addressed because we are we are not just a wrestling show. We are a sports show, but we are not the type of sports show that's just going to talk about X's and O's all the time. And this needed to be addressed. But I promise you, we're going to segue. We're going to try to make it a little bit more happier now. It's going to be tough, but Chip has some baseball news only because spring training is upon us and hope springs anew, pun unintended, for all these Major League Baseball teams hoping to get to the World Series. Now, personally, wake me up when we get to June because that's when baseball gets interesting with interleague play.
That's not a thing anymore.
Well, wait, what?
That's not a thing anymore. So interleague play could be the first game of the season now. Now up until 2000.
Oh, well, I know that. I know. No, I'm saying like I thought they did away with interleague play while I was sleeping. I was going to say, wait, whoa.
Up until a couple of years ago, it was always June where interleague play took place.
Right.
But now it can take place. I think actually last season, I think the Yankees ended with an interleague.
Oh, they ended. I don't know if they started with.
But there was a team that started with, I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was the Pirates that played an American League team. Don't quote me. You can look it up. But yeah, that's not a thing anymore. But if you live in New England, you know why I'm in the spring training mood.
Yes.
I mean, have you been outside today?
It's 80 degrees today.
I heard great things about outside, but I was in work all day, so I...
Fair enough.
My mic cut out. Hit my mic.
But so Chip was outside in New England, or he wasn't outside because he was trapped in the office and he couldn't get out. But Chip, apparently, there are some rule changes potentially in baseball that have been discussed or even just ballyhooed about, which may be a way to revolutionize the game because baseball is one of those sports where the purists don't like anything getting messed up in their game. They didn't like the wild card. They don't like interleague play.
That's frustrating.
They don't like what is it? Automated strike zones. They don't like replay. You see what I'm saying? Like everyone is doing the proverbial get off my lawn when it comes to baseball.
So real quick, before we get into what I really want to talk about, you mentioned automated strike zone.
Yes.
As an umpire, I agree because think about basketball, think about football. There's a realism there because there's the possibility of human error. You know, like you look at
how does that benefit the game?
Does it benefit the game? Is a different subject. Does it benefit the game? No. But do you want to see a game where everything's called perfectly, where there's no controversy?
Yes.
All right. In other sports, sure, I can see it, but in baseball, which baseball's my sport, but let's be real, it's a boring game to watch.
It really is.
Do you want at least some excitement?
Yeah, but the excitement you can do is by A, speeding up the game, 2, automated strike zones, because then there's no complaining and no whining from managers and players alike where, well, that wasn't at the knees, or that was above the letters. No, it's indisputable at this point if you do it that way.
Now, can't you say the same thing about football and challenges, that you have video evidence, it's indisputable, where you should be able to overturn a call like that?
I believe you should be able to do that in football also, yes.
But you still have the human error aspect of it, where a human is reviewing a challenge on a call. And that if we did this in baseball, that would be the same result. There would still be somebody in New York or in Connecticut or in California reviewing the play, reviewing the challenge, if you will,
Mhm.
and there's still a human error factor there. So, and and it's just that it takes jobs away from umpires, which I think is stupid.
That's what you're worried about? You're
Not,
worried
not that's
about the
not
jobs
that's
of
not
the
my
umpires.
that's not my main concern. No, no. But
Okay.
I just think it's stupid to take something that's been a part of the game for so long, and that have committed their life to enforcing the rules of baseball and do their best.
Okay.
I think
Do
that's
your
stupid.
best, yes. But there are a lot of agreed. Okay, we're getting off topic, but I just want to say this. When it comes to the human error aspect of sports, I have seen many a soccer game or football game end with a blown call, and 2 days later, the ref is dead. Okay, the one that made the bad call is dead. So I know baseball purists and baseball fans aren't that, or at least I'd like to think they're not that psychotic, but you never know because fan is short for fanatic. So
Dodger
remember a
fans.
couple, when was it? I think was it Asdrubal Cabrera? No. Who was the one that lost the perfect game with that obvious call a few years back? Was it Porcello or Cabrera?
Alejandro Galarraga.
Armando Galarraga. That's right.
Yep.
So I think the umpire was Jim Joyce,
Yes, it
and
was.
he butchered, destroyed that call, and it would have been a perfect game. And even he realized after the game in the post game interview, he cried. He said, "I blew that game for that kid." If you didn't have an umpire, you had like a yes or no system in terms of, let's say, robots. Let's just say robots.
But see
That
now,
kid gets his perfect game.
but yes, yeah, you're right. But also, you go to the video evidence, and I mean, that play was completely indisputable. That was
Okay,
way
the
off.
Derek Jeter home run in '96.
That's the one that hit the top of the wall, correct?
That's the one where the kid reaches Jeffrey Mayer when he was like 9,
Oh,
reached
that's
over
right.
and pulled the ball back over.
Also, that guy's a dick, but we can talk about that another time.
So just again, had you not have an umpire make that call saying it's a home run, and you go to the videotape, so to speak, and you have replay sooner rather than later, or even a robot, the call gets right. It's a correct call, and you don't have the controversy. And I know controversy is one of the things that sports reporters and sports broadcasters like to talk about, but I'd just rather you get it right and not cost the athlete.
In any way, I lost your face. Um,
My face is always
but
here, Chip.
but what I wanted to talk about concerning baseball
Sure, go ahead.
is the rule change to possibly come within the next, and it won't be this year. It'll be within the next 2 or 3 years. They'll probably test it out in the Arizona League or something. But the rule is possibly managers can decide who they want to bat in the bottom of the ninth. Now, on paper, and we talked about this earlier, on paper, it sounds intriguing, doesn't it? Like, okay, so if I'm in the bottom of the ninth and I'm down 2 runs and I have bases loaded, instead of putting Brock Holt up at the plate, I could put David Ortiz back up at the plate. So that sounds intriguing.
You'd have to take David Ortiz out of the retirement home to do that, but I get what you're saying.
Right. I'm just using that for
Yes.
But where it becomes ridiculous is, doesn't that take the strategy of the game away?
Being able to put up your 3, 4, 5 hitters, regardless of whether or not they batted last inning.
Right. And also what needs to be established in this rule is, all right, so let's say David Ortiz is pinch hit for in the top of the 8th for pinch running reasons, where they need somebody on base to make the rounds from second to the plate to score a run when Hanley Ramirez is at the plate.
Okay.
Can David Ortiz come back into the game after he's been benched? Or does it have to be somebody that's in the current batting order? So that's one thing that needs to...
okay, that's one thing.
That's one thing that needs to be established before I can really get too into the rule. Another thing that needs to be established is, how many times can you do it? Okay, so if it's only in the bottom of the ninth, can you bat David Ortiz after he just batted in the 8th inning and then bat Hanley Ramirez in a different spot? Can you do it back to back, or can it only be one per inning?
Wait. I did research on this before the show. Apparently, it's only in the late innings of the game, and you can only do it on whatever inning you're trying to do it in. So if it's like, let's say, the 7th, 8th, or 9th, If you want to do in the ninth inning, you're allowed to put up whoever you want, and so on for so forth for 7/8 as well. But you can't do it for 3 consecutive innings. So if I'm the Yankees, and I'm not a Yankee fan, but if you want to put Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton back to back in the 7th, 8th, and ninth innings, you can't do it. You can
You're
only
like
pick
Satan.
one.
You're like Satan. You're bringing up those terrible names for Boston fans.
I'm not a Yankees fan. I'm a Mets fan.
I know you are, and I'm sorry for that.
Please, I'm over it. I'm good.
But it can't in terms of like we talked about with the last segment, in terms of excitement for the game, it can be cool because that's going to get you to tune in because, now there's a chance David Ortiz coming back up, even though he shouldn't be able to. Okay, that's cool. Now we might be able to win the game. That's going to get you some ratings. But again, I'm not a super purist of the game, and what I've said today may kind of, what's the word? I might be a hypocrite the way I'm saying this, but I'm not a super purist, but I'd like things to stay the way they are. The rule's been that way for so long. It's just like, I think, and this is something we can talk about a different time, but I'm just going to bring it up.
Sure.
I think baseball should be played the right way, and the right way is the pitcher hits.
Okay.
If you're in the field, you bat, no DH.
So that's okay. But that's a purist. You see, you're saying you're not a super purist. But I don't want to call you on it, but I'm going to.
I'm a purist.
No, not that. You just mentioned that you would rather it be played the right way. And if, like, you essentially said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Right. I know where you're gonna go. Go ahead.
No, you know where I'm gonna go. That's fine.
Go for it.
I could take it one of two ways. I could take it back to the first topic and be like, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm sorry, but it was broken. Like that, just because. Okay, I'm not even gonna throw you under the bus.
No, do it.
No. I'm not that kind of sports.
No, because I want to see if I can dispute you on it.
No, it's fine. I'm not.
Okay.
All I'm gonna say is, I've always said, as I've gotten older, just because something worked before doesn't mean it's right for the future. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, again, my comments in the first part of this were as an umpire. I am an umpire. I'm a licensed umpire. So that's where my comments come from. I am. I'm a licensed umpire.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I'm a licensed umpire. I got into the association I'm a part of at 14 years old. You're not supposed to be able to get into it until you're 16, but my umpire-in-chief was he recommended me so highly that the secretary was willing to give me a shot, and I passed.
So when was the last time you umpired a game?
I umpire every season.
Well, what age bracket?
Little League. I do Little League.
Okay.
I'm eligible to do high school. I just don't, with the jobs I've had, I haven't been able to do high school games, because it's right after school and I wasn't out of work. I could do Babe Ruth, which is 13 to 15-year-old out here. Most places call it Senior League. That might be what you call in New York. But we call it Babe Ruth out here. But yeah, I'm eligible for anything except for college. And I would do it. I love umpiring, but that's where my comments come for that part.
See, now I get it because I didn't know you were an umpire. See, and now I'm educated on the topic.
Yep.
Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to take back my statement. What I will say is, yes, I can understand there is value and there is employment in the human aspect of baseball and officiating sports in general.
Right.
I get it. But a ref, an umpire, an official, their job is to get the call right. Now,
100%.
Right. Now, I get that they get about maybe 90% of the calls right.
Pushing it.
Okay, 80?
I'll give you that.
Okay.
You might be right
80%,
on the line.
80% of the calls are right. So that leaves us with 20% potentially of calls being wrong and affecting what could be a turning point in a team season. Now that is bothersome.
Right. Now, I'll give you one thing. If we have to lose one thing to gain the other, I will accept an automated strike zone as long as we still allow, high pitches. Let me take that back. Let me redact it here. As long as we allow pitchers to pinch the plate, such as throw inside, you've got to have some type of, I guess the word is excitement, like I keep on saying, but somebody that brought excitement to the game was Jose Fernandez with his emotion after every out, after a big game where he's in the 7th inning, he's up 1, and he just struck out the side to go on to the 8th.
You're talking about the former Miami Marlins starter who lost his life in the boating accident.
That's correct. Jose Fernandez is missed in the game because he brought pure emotion to the game. And you don't see much of that. And that's what's wrong with baseball is there's no pure emotion. It's just strike 1, back to the pitcher, spit, kick dirt, go back. You need pure.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're saying this because everyone's complaint about baseball is that it's too boring, it's too slow, there's not enough action. But I'm sorry. And I might tap dance and tiptoe into a very uncomfortable conversation, Chip, so bear with me here.
Okay.
Why is it that when we're looking for excitement, you mentioned Jose Fernandez. I remember Carlos Perez. I remember, Carlos Perez used to pitch for the Expos and the Dodgers, and he used to, after every strike, make a little histrionic after every strike and strikeout. Jose Bautista, when he hit the shot heard round Canada a couple years ago against the bat flip, he caught a lot of flack from other people saying, "Act like you've done this before." Okay, so we got the excitement from the Latino community in baseball. I've noticed it, Chip.
Yep.
But you never hear people complain of the exuberance. It's called like the childlike exuberance when, I'm just saying a name, a Dustin Pedroia, or does something. He's a gritty, he's a gamer, he's hard, that we should celebrate like he does because he typifies what this state's about or what this team's about. Remember Cowboy Up? Nobody cared about Cowboy Up because everybody had their beards and the idiots and all that stuff, right?
Yep.
Because they were fun-loving boys, right?
But, you're talking about the 13 Red Sox.
Yeah, 13 Red Sox.
Okay.
They had Manny. They had Manny and Poppy, and I'll give you that. But I guarantee you, if it was Manny and Poppy leading that charge, people would be uncomfortable in other baseball teams, and they'd be saying, try to show some respect for the game.
Okay. Now, let me circle back a little bit.
Yes.
The Dustin Pedroia aspect. Now, again, we're going back to purists here.
I was just using his name as a point of reference.
But that's perfect because Pedroia is loved by baseball purists because, and again, I'm probably gonna tiptoe into a touchy subject. I love seeing guys run out a ground ball because you never know what's gonna happen.
I agree.
Okay. So, as much as I'm a David Ortiz fan, I'm not a huge David Ortiz fan.
He loafed. Yes, he loafed.
Yeah. He'd hit a ground ball and he'd trot. Not even trot. He'll walk. So that bothered me. But purists love Dustin Pedroia because it's all about the hustle. It's all about the grit, as you said. But he also brings a pure emotion. When he hits a double, when he head first slides into second and just beats the tag, there's excitement when he pops up and screams. That's what you need in baseball. You don't need somebody just sliding in, brushing off the dirt, getting on the bag, and on to the next batter.
Oh no, but I bet you there are some people, the Clint Eastwood old man get off my lawn types, that want that. They want to be ho hum. I got a double. Ho hum. I just hit a home run. Nothing to see here.
And you know what? Even if that becomes the norm, the cockiness, sure, I'll take it.
Yeah.
There's whether it's cocky or not, that's emotion, and that's what baseball needs. Along with speeding up the game, we need emotion. If you can't speed up the game, give me more emotion because that keeps me invested.
You need a story.
Yeah. And what another type of wrestling is everything. You need that in wrestling. You need that in baseball. You need that in sports.
You need it in sports. You need more story within the game, not just the game itself. Because
what was
the people? Go ahead.
Let me ask you something. I don't know if you followed baseball much during the season, the year of the Boston bombings.
I did not.
Okay, so in Boston, obviously, we were attached to the Red Sox from the moment that the bombings took place because the Red Sox were on their way to Cleveland, and then every baseball team started showing their support for Boston, and then the Red Sox just went on this incredible streak where they weren't even supposed to be touched the playoffs, where they weren't even supposed to be a good team. It was just a team full of locker room leaders with young guys coming up where they were going to start building for the future, and they won the World Series. This city was so attached to 2013 Red Sox because there was emotion. They were playing for the city of Boston. Daniel Nava hit that home run on April 19th, the first game back after the bombings, and from there it was full steam ahead. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I get it. And as a Mets fan, when Mike Piazza hit that home run during the first game back from the 9/11 attacks,
Yep.
and he essentially that made everyone in Queens erupt. Okay, I was
Right.
watching it at home and I saw the pure emotion. And that's what you're talking about. You're talking about moments that transcend the whole humness of baseball.
They live with you forever.
Yeah, i.e. the bat flip, i.e.
Yep.
Joe Carter running around the bases after hitting that home run in the World Series to win for the Jays, and the childhood exuberance that they mentioned.
Yep.
But why is it that whenever someone tries to show a bit of emotion, all these cranky old people or just it should stay the way it was because that's what worked before. Stop. That's not how you grow a sport. That's why baseball's lacking behind the NFL and the NBA. That's why if they're not careful, they're gonna lack behind. They're gonna wind up being behind MLS in a couple years if they don't keep this up. Like honestly.
It's and and you talked about Mike Piazza's home run. It's on. I mean, it's a different type of circumstance, but it's like the home run. I'm blanking on the name. Sorry, but if it stays fair, it's gone. If it stays fair, it's gone. And he's trotting down the line, waving his hands to the right.
Carlton Fisk.
Thank you. I couldn't think of the name.
Carlton Fisk.
That's just moments. And you realize all these moments that we're talking about, they still play on video packages for baseball.
Right. But think about
because
it.
They are so transcending.
And a lot of it isn't recent.
No,
Aside from a couple of things here and there, they're not recent. None of the clips are electrifying you in baseball. And I know we kind of got off topic, and to bring it back really quick, this was about the fact that baseball wants to play with new rules. They want to speed up the pitch clock, the pitch clock. They want to limit mound visits to speed up the pace of the game.
I think that's
they're talking about doing this magic at bat, if you want to call it, where you can pencil in anyone to bat in either the bottom or the top of the 7th, 8th, or 9th in the later innings. So, as I said before, you could conceivably have your 3, 4, and 5 hitters come up in the 6th and the 8th, or even the 9th against the best closer that your team has, or the closer your team has, to add some intrigue to the game. And I think that's a great idea. And honestly, I like the DH. I think the pitcher should not hit because unless they are able to hit above a certain percentage, like Madison Bumgarner should be allowed to hit.
Okay, so, but I'm gonna throw what I said out. I think there should be DHs because you just convinced me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm all for excitement of the game. A pitcher hitting isn't exciting.
No, unless there's a pitcher that can hit.
Madison Bumgarner is the exception to the rule.
Mm-hmm. And then
that dude can hit oh my god.
Well, and then the new, who is it? The Angels' new pitcher, Otani?
Yeah. Yep.
Otani. Yes.
Otani. And he's going to be, watch out. I hope the Angels get more national games because it's going to be really cool. He's the first true two-way player in professional baseball
from Japan.
In general, first two-way player where he's going to be a light tail pitcher or he can be your best outfielder and a great hitter.
Since Babe Ruth.
I was going to say, if there hasn't been anybody in between, it was Babe Ruth was the last one. So I'm super excited. Was he?
He was a decent pitcher, but a better outfielder.
When you think of Rick Ankiel, you think of position player more than a pitcher.
Yeah, well, you think of those yips he had where he had wild pitches and passed balls and things like that, where he had the meltdown in the NLCS.
Yes, he was with the Cardinals at that time, right?
Yes, he was with the Cardinals.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. But actually, and this all came around to what I wanted to get about with the rule, anyways, which was being able to put whoever you want at the plate in the late innings. Mm-hmm. Is good for the game in terms of excitement. It makes you want to tune in. And all the things we went off on a tangent and talked about bring excitement to the game. That's what baseball needs. And that's what's going to get, baseball is still America's pastime. That's still the slogan. And it is. I love, like on a night like tonight, I would have loved to be in Fenway watching a baseball game. That's my favorite thing to do. There we go.
That's fine.
And
come on, Chip, get it together, man.
I have to hold my microphone now. Damn it. Sorry. No, I'm not. Now I'm back. Cover for.
Well, as Chip tries to get through his technical difficulties, because this is hilarious, I get what he's saying about wanting to relive these moments, maybe of your childhood, where you're sitting out on a summer night eating some Cracker Jacks. And by the way, who still eats Cracker Jacks? I mean, they're okay, but they're not that great. With your mom or your dad or your brothers.
We eat fiddle faddle now.
What the hell is fiddle faddle?
Oh my God, you've never heard the story?
What the hell is fiddle faddle?
All right, so I know Dylan Salone is listening to this. In my phone, he's called Fiddle Faddle and Dylan. He's called Fiddle Faddle and Dylan because the first time we ever met in Brooklyn for Takeover 1, he came and met up with myself, Jason Molotov, Liam Stryker, and Bill Neville, and his gift to us was a box of Fiddle Faddle.
Nice.
And the way he explains it is it's a poor man's Cracker Jack, even though I didn't know Cracker Jack was for rich people.
I did not know that either until I kind of looked it up earlier. Yes. By the way, Miguel Rodriguez is in the chat, and last week he was a big contributor to the show.
Yep.
He was saying that he still cries about the Boone home run off of Wakefield.
Oh my God, dude, that haunts me. 2003 is a terrible year in my life. I was just old enough to start understanding what the Red Sox streak meant.
Right.
And then he hit that home run, and I bawled my eyes out.
Well, I went through something similar as a Rangers fan in hockey, where before 94, all I would hear is 1940, because that was the last time the Rangers had won the Stanley Cup before 1994. Yeah. So I understood the curse. I understood the Billy Goat, with the Cubs. I get it. But at the same token, Bill Buckner, man, because I'm a Mets fan, I have to throw it in your face. Bill Buckner, Mookie Wilson, the grounder through the legs. I got a bad back and bad knees some days, so I understand why he couldn't get low enough to get that ball. But
that's not the right answer. He just sucked.
he was a decent player that year for the Boston Red Sox.
No, I mean that day he just sucked.
Okay, that day it was his Bartman day.
He just missed it. He didn't pull his back out. He wasn't hurting. He just missed it. He just misplayed that ball.
Look, I was trying to give your boy a way out, but apparently you don't want to take it. So
no, he doesn't deserve it. He blew it. Fuck you, Bill Buckner.
Before we transition, what do you think? What do you think on your JD Martinez pickup by the Red Sox?
I'm glad that they didn't
overpay. Yes,
I'm glad they didn't budge, because it was so long between the initial offer coming out and the acceptance that I thought they were going to bump the offer up to 140, which wouldn't have been worth it. Is he worth what we paid him? That's to be determined. It's just like Steve Gilmore out here for the Patriots. He didn't earn his contract until that play against Jacksonville in the AFC Championship, where he leaped up seemingly out of nowhere and deflected that ball. That would have been probably a game-winning touchdown for Jacksonville. We'll see what JD Martinez does. He might be the JD Drew effect, where he doesn't earn his contract until where it matters in the playoffs. So,
but here's the funny thing about that contract. Do you know there's a 2-year out?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what most of baseball is becoming.
That is genius now that professional sports are doing that. This way they don't get saddled with these horrific Albert Pujols type contracts where you're paying someone $30 million at the age of 40 who can't bend down, who can't even be a DH. No harm to no fault to the player. They're the ones that like, dude, I got a $40 million contract. I'm
playing it out.
Yep. I'm playing it out as long as I can. Look at David Wright. You know why David Wright hasn't retired yet? Is because he's still getting paid.
Yep.
If he wasn't getting paid, he would have retired 3 years ago.
Absolutely. When that whole back thing happened a couple years ago, he should have been out. He should have been
3 years ago. No, he should have been done. He had the spinal stenosis, and now he's trying just to get back on the field. Why? Because he's making $25 million a season. Even though 80% of it is being paid by insurance. So good job by the Mets on that one. But you see, that's what I'm saying when it comes to contracts. People are being smarter with contracts. And I think that's where analytics catches a lot of flack in all the sports all over the world. But I think it's useful in determining whether or not an investment is worthwhile. Now,
right. And the 2013 Red Sox kind of led the way with that in some ways. They wouldn't sign anybody over the age of 30 to more than a 3-year contract for $36 million.
Well, who was the GM then?
What was his name? Ben Cherington.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was he a Theo disciple?
He was the one below Theo.
He was a Theo disciple. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. And he kind of made that. Johnny Gomes, Shane Victorino, They all signed 3-year contracts for little money because they were going to be 40 soon and they weren't going to be worth the money. But you know what? Those contracts really came into play because Carl Crawford failed, Adrian Gonzalez failed, Jacoby Ellsbury failed for the Yankees, which
Yes.
sucks because I was a Jacoby Ellsbury fan. I was a Jacoby guy. I was mad when he signed with the Yankees. But you know what? I think we got the better. I think Mookie
Again,
Betts.
JD Drew, like you said before. JD Drew is another one.
JD Drew is another answer. Josh Beckett. Josh Beckett's hard to say.
With pitchers, it's different, man. With pitchers, it's a completely different animal.
It is. Like, I was all for giving John Lester what he wanted. I was all for giving John Lester what he wanted. But anybody else? No. So what I was getting at is the Red Sox kind of led the way with that, and I think that business model, if you will, works.
Well, we're talking about investments here on the Sawty Chip show and about what's making things work. Okay, I can speak to investments because the number one investment I have is time. So when I invest time in something, because time is worth more than money in my estimation, because you don't get that back. You can always make back $1, but you can't make back a minute. When I go on these travels to cover wrestling shows, either for NAI or Sawty Chips, or when I was doing Last Mark Standing or Indie Pop, I covered this for the patrons of the foreign Patreons I used to have, and also because I get paid to do this outside. Great. So in my investment of time this past weekend, it brought me to Austin, Texas, and it brought me to Wrestle Circus. And I have to give a shout out. I think it's to Grandpa, who is it? Grandpa Bill, Grandpa Jake, because on my travels, there was a creepy man that surprised me at the rest stop when me and someone who should not be named, because I know they'll be embarrassed if I mention their name. But I think you know who it is, Chip.
Yeah, I'm looking in the camera.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's
like, why are you embarrassed?
We know who you are right now. So
I'm sure there's a message coming in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. Grandpa James was standing behind me. Now, Grandpa James, because that's what he called himself, had about 5. He counted too. He went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He had 5 stars on his chest.
Oh, I thought you were going lower. I'm sorry.
No, on his chest, because he's worked at the place, at the rest stop he was at. And if that person's listening, they can let me know what the rest stop was, because he was there for 5 years. And, it's one of those, if you don't like what you get here, let me know and I'll fix it for you. And I'm doing a bad Southern twang accent, but that's what Grandpa James surprised me, because I'm not going to lie, Chip, and anyone who's watching live on the live stream who's going to hear this, when he surprised the hell out of me, my number one thing I wanted to do was turn around and slug him. Because when people surprise me out of nowhere, I don't know if it's PTSD or what, but I am trained that if you surprise me, my first reaction is to clock you in the face. So I turn around all slow like, and then there's some creepy dude behind me peering over my shoulder as if he's watching me make a mistake. Now, I'm a Latin guy, and I wind up in parts of Texas where there's not many Latinos lying around.
Sure.
So here I am at a truck stop, probably the only Spanish guy in the place, the only Latin guy in the place. So I'd be apt to be a little bit scared to have Grandpa James behind me, lurching over me, thinking either A, because I'm used to it, people thinking I'm trying to steal something, or B, I'm a troublemaker. So shout out to Grandpa James and his 5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars for Grandpa James. Oh,
thanks, Uncle Dave.
Sorry, 12 stars. I was corrected. 12 stars.
12 stars.
And 4 years. It's like the Ohio State Buckeyes. He collects those stars like Buckeyes. But 12 stars, 4 years. So that's one of the main things I took from the trip. Another thing was when I was at Wrestle Circus. This internet rumor that you started, Chip.
Huh?
That I am jacked. Okay, when at the during no. Because during the Wrestle Circus broadcast, right? You said before the Twitter that I think I see Damian in the second row, and he is jacked. He's the jack guy in the second row, and I'm like, okay, embarrassed now. Thanks, Chip.
Yeah. Well, it's just I see your arms and your shoulders, like you're jacked. Look at me. I'm a noodle. I'm a noodle. Like I feel like that SpongeBob meme where he's like, eh.
It's like, man, but no, but that was funny. Again, people are saying it's a false internet rumor that you tried to spread. So I figured I'd get that out there. But the show itself, it had
Unconfirmed
3
rumors.
unconfirmed rumors. I can ask people who have seen me shirtless. They'll let me know whether or not I'm jacked or not.
I'm not.
So if well, you're not jacked. Well, people will say I'm jacked, but
I did.
I'm jacked apparently. Yeah. Well, no, women have said I'm jacked. So, well, one in particular is telling me I'm jacked. So thank you for that. Anywho, this false internet rumor. False internet rumors, folks. Damian is not jacked. He just likes to work out 6 days a week. But anyway, I digress. The show itself was a mixed bag. It was a solid show. It was probably, for me, not better than the last show I went to from an in-ring perspective.
God no.
But Shane Strickland versus Scorpio Sky was probably one of the best matches I've ever seen live.
Sure.
So if you get a chance to watch it, I don't know if it's on the Twitch stream, watch it again, see it again. For me, it's when those two people in a ring have great chemistry and they make magic. And I think that's what that match did for me.
You mentioned if it's on Twitch stream. Supposedly, if you have Amazon Prime, you can watch the replays for free. Only problem I have so far, I mean, I watched it live, but the only problem I have so far is finding it. So I think Wrestle Circus needs to do a better job of giving a direct link for Amazon Prime subscribers to find their shows, because we're going to recommend people to watch some of these matches, and they're going to have a hard time finding it. So hopefully, if we find an answer to that, I'll tweet it out, and Damian will tweet it out. But that's something that Wrestle Circus needs to do a better job of.
And also, can we talk about the match between Tessa Blanchard and Brian Cage for a minute?
So I was nervous about that match, not for Tessa's well-being. I knew she'd be okay, but
safety.
I just didn't know how it was gonna. Yeah, I just didn't know how it was gonna be. I just, it ended up being how I expected it, but 100 times better. Like I expected Tessa to look like she was getting murdered 97% of the time, and she did.
I'd say 80. She got murdered about 75 to 80% of the time.
Sure. But it worked perfectly. Now, there's something that we talked about off air right after the show where it seemed like maybe she was underselling a little bit. That's for people.
Definitely underselling.
Yeah, that's something for the people to decide when they watch. I think it's true. I think she was underselling, but the moves looked impactful enough where it's like, all right, like she's dead.
Well, somebody brought this up on Twitter today, and I thought it was a great point where a lot of Tessa's moves against Cage were momentum based, using physics to actually inflict damage. And I thought that is the best way. If there is a decided size difference in an intergender match between two participants, you need momentum. The smaller person needs momentum, like Rey Mysterio, right? If you really want to do it like a real tiny wrestler, Rey Mysterio needed a whole bunch of momentum to make his moves look believable against bigger opponents. So Tessa and Candice was good at this when she's matched up against not as bigger wrestlers, but maybe like people like the Young Buck size. But considering Tessa went up against a super heavyweight and held her own physically and made it look believable. Because, there's some intergender matches where you're just like, ooh, okay, that was bad.
Yeah, I can think of one.
Yeah, I know you can think of many. But I was impressed by the match. And to be honest, and as a wrestling fan first, they drew us in towards the end of that match.
Oh my God, yeah.
Near fall, you could just feel the energy in that place was at a fever pitch. And I know it sounds cliched, but it was legitimately that way. Because I could tell you from firsthand experience being there, the place was buzzing. Everyone thought they thought that she was going to win. Honestly,
I did too.
Because the only reason why I didn't think Tessa would win was because Cage just won the title at their last show. I thought the better way for Wrestle Circus to kind of welcome people back after the hiatus is to have a woman holding all of their titles.
Right. That would have been cool. That would have been something never heard of before.
That would have been something we could have talked about for a while.
But also don't completely rule it out yet.
No, of course not.
I mean, it seems like, and which is great. I think Tessa seems like she's a Wrestle Circus guy. Not the right word, but you know what I mean. I think she's a Wrestle Circuits guy, girl, whatever. She's going to be there, so there's definitely time for it to happen.
Meaning
But
she's one of theirs. Yeah, she's
one of
not.
theirs,
Well, she is still their women's champion. So
right? And one last thing, one great thing Wrestle Circuits has done from they've changed from the beginning was their shows were so long, so many matches, it was just too much to take in. They've really kind of cut back and made their showtime worth it. It's gone from like I think the first show was like 5 hours, and they
yeah,
cut
it
it
was like
down to
4.5 hours or something. Yeah.
Yep. And now it's at 3, which is still a little long for an indie show, but I can live with it.
Well, I mean, unless you evolve and you run 2 hours with no intermission, then usually 2.5 hours to 3 hours is the norm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we
So I
watch
think
Raw
they
for
agree.
3 hours, so I mean, why not?
Do we?
Well, I don't.
I haven't
No.
watched a Raw or SmackDown live or in full in so long.
By the way, anyone who's listening or who will listen, go watch 205 Live. It's everything that was right about the Cruiserweight Classic.
I'm glad you say that because I do want to. Like I said on SGC and here, I've never watched 205 Live, but I've heard great things about it, and I'm gonna give it a shot.
Especially the last 3 to 4 weeks, dude. You will not be disappointed.
I'll absolutely give it a shot.
And apparently NXT was good tonight too, but then again, it was Almas against Gargano in the main event. Not surprised.
Can't go wrong with that.
Before we go, who has the better lineup? The Yankees or the Red Sox?
Dude. Did you just ask me that with a straight face?
Well, I didn't ask you. Miguel did.
It's hard. It's hard to go against a lineup that includes just Aaron Judge and Juan Carlos Stanton.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to go against that, man. I'd like to say the Red Sox with my heart and soul. I would love to say the Red Sox, but I can't sit here and look you in the eyes and say the Red Sox have the better lineup. We don't.
Wow, look at you not being a homer for once. Thank goodness.
The Red Sox do not have the better lineup. They don't.
Sorry, Chip.
I'm being real. They don't.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, I am sleeping on baseball until June. Then you can wake me up and be like, "Hey, Damian, let's bring this back up again." Then we can visit this.
Have you been outside? It's June.
It's not June.
It's June.
It's February. We're not even at spring yet, so relax.
Outside will tell you different.
Okay, before I go, one more salt take. Okay, whenever people see the thermometer be over 60 degrees, especially in major cities that have 4 seasons, why do you all who do this take it upon yourself to put shorts on once the temperature gets over 55 degrees? Because I am cold and even 65 degrees half the time. Maybe it's, and I'm supposed to have the warm Latin blood, but I'm always cold.
What?
So yeah, I'm always cold, dude. Like it could be 70 degrees and I'll be like, nah, I need an 80. I need tropical, man.
I don't own a pair of shorts, so I can't relate.
Well, because you wear like flannels and cowboy boots all the time, so you wouldn't know. But there is a certain sector of people in the world and in America that once the weather hits over freezing, apparently they think it's free reign to wear shorts. Why y'all doing that? Please explain to me, why are you comfortable wearing shorts at 50-degree weather? I am freezing just looking at you.
Okay. I have a friend that only wears shorts, so I can ask him.
Please ask him. Ask anyone who wears shorts above 50-degree weather because it's ridiculous.
I saw a bunch of people say, no, you know what? I can get it as long as you're wearing a short sleeve shirt. Now, the people I don't get is that when they wear shorts and a hoodie. It's like, are you warm or are you cold? Make up your mind.
Well, that's just crazy talk. That's just someone being crazy.
New England, man. New England.
And then flip-flops. Sweater, shorts, flip-flops. What the hell?
See, now that I can understand over the summer when now it's nighttime.
No. I'm talking
having
about
a fire
at like 47 degrees.
Sure. Okay. Yes. I'll agree. I agree.
Nonsense. Get it together, people. It's not that serious. You don't need to show your legs off that much in 45-degree weather. It's not that serious. Anyway,
chicken legs.
I'm Damian's. Yeah, my chicken legs, but I'm jacked apparently, so it's fine. I'm all upper body. I'm all shoulders and arms and pecs. And like I have what was it called? I have veiny calves.
Oh,
like when I work out my calf muscles, like they look like they're ripped and like rippling. So I don't know.
Yeah. No, I can't relate.
Well, because you just started like really training. So I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm seeing some results. I'm happy.
Oh, what's that thing you wanted to plug last week?
Fuck.
I don't think it was called that, Chip.
No, sorry. It was Level Up Nutrition, based out of New Jersey, with Nick. I'm gonna pronounce his name wrong. Fevola. He's a great guy. His energy is infectious. And if you want, I can get you in touch with him. He sells Herbalife products, which I've been using as meal replacement for breakfast every morning because I have a hard time eating breakfast in the morning.
Why do you not eat breakfast in the morning?
So I don't know. I just don't, I'm not a huge breakfast food person.
I love how we just segued into breakfast food. I think we should save that for another episode of Sawty Chips. What do you think?
We can do that. But anyways, Level Up Nutrition based out of New Jersey, myself, Aunt DeStefano of the New Age Insiders Network, and Cody Benoit all use these products. They've seemed to be working well for me. I've broken all kinds of plateaus while on these products. Coincidence or not, I don't think so. So let me know if you want to get in contact with him. I can get you in contact, and we'll go from there.
Cool. So as always, folks, you could DM. You could DM Chip. Don't DM.
My DMs are closed.
You could DM Chip. Don't DM me unless it's for business inquiries. All right. You can reach the show on Twitter at what?
At Sawty Chip Show.
Attaboy. Also, we're presented by the NAI Network. You can find us at saltychips.simplecast.fm. Also on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, hopefully soon Spotify, as well as SoundCloud and various other streaming sites.
And
Chip, any one last words? Go. Yes, go.
And my Sawty Chips merch, my Sawty Chips shirt has officially shipped, so it will be here tomorrow.
All right. So anyone who wants to order a Sawty Chips shirt, where can they find that at?
represent.com/the-salty-chips-show.
That's too long. You think anyone's gonna remember that?
Nope. So go to my Twitter and look at my pinned tweet and the links there.
There you go. And as always, Chip, what do we tell people?
Don't be a dick.
Exactly. We'll see you next time. Later, folks.